this is very concerning to me. This pro-Hamas protester, have you seen this? Somebody was writing about it on the comments here, basically saying, you know, the Coots guys are in jail and can't get a fair trial. And it's just been over 600 days. Oh, they're in remand. Yeah, they're not even in jail. Jail would be more comfortable from what I understand. Remand is a very uncomfortable place where you kind of go briefly, wait, you know, to get released or go to trial, and they're just stuck there in eternal, you know, unhappiness. And why? Okay, some of the charges against them is threatening the lives of officers. Now, it hasn't been proven yet, and there is good reason to believe we have innocent people in jail, and we're standing with them. But take a look at this guy. So this is a protester disrupting Christmas shopping at Eaton Centre in Toronto and threatening the police. Take a look.
Do you believe Palestinians deserve freedom?
I'm telling you, because if he touches me, I'm putting him on the floor. You come near me, I'll put you lay down on the floor. I'll lay you sleep. I'll put you 6 feet deep. I'll put you 6 feet deep. They just told the cop to put him 6 feet up. Yeah.
That is what we want to tell people in Palestine, and we're going to be on our way to the front.
He's not trying to shit. He's a pussy, bro. Leave him. Leave him.
Shut up!
Oh, bitches. Yo, we don't know. You guys up here, we looking at you. If you're really a puppet, come on. No. You're a bitch. You're a bitch. No, we're not going to hurt him. You're a bitch. You're a bitch. Suck your mouth.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
So if you saw at the beginning of that, this guy, and I thought he came back actually, if that video goes longer, and he says, I'll put you six feet deep. Yeah, he said it right at the beginning there. I'll put you 6 feet deep, the guy says, with the big mask. He's talking to the police officers. Now, I mean, I tweeted, I'm like, so, Mr. Trudeau, do you think it's time to bring in the ugly suits? Because let me tell you what the truckers were doing. They were setting up bouncy castles, and they were protesting in a strong way, but basically saying, listen, we think we need bodily autonomy, and you can't tell us, you know, what vaccines we have to take, Mr. Prime Minister. And, you know, he's all about the vaccines. And here we've got a guy saying to the cop's face, I'll put you 6 feet deep. And they are brazenly bold. And this is happening in our city centers. Do we have a problem? Should we be calling in the National Guard? Yes. So let me tell you, I think that Chrystia Freeland is looking into what's happening in our country. So with Chrystia, do you want to take that big, or I'll just kind of read it from here? So 1 hour ago from the time of my saying this, which is right now because we are live, okay? So if you see this later today, it's a few hours ago. But Chrystia Freeland, today I spent some time listening to the Muslim community leaders from the Toronto Islamic Center in #UniRose. The rise in Islamophobic hate crimes has left many Muslim Canadians feeling unsafe. It's unacceptable. Islamophobia has no place in Canada or anywhere. So JT, how many Islamophobia things are we seeing happen? Like how many attacks on...
It's inversely proportional to the amount of attacks on Jews.
It's virtually in proportion.
It's
Inversely proportionate. Okay, okay. It's inversely proportionate. So right now we have Jews hiding. They can't have their menorah left anywhere because it's apparently going to be taken down. And Chrystia Freeland wants to make all nice. I think y'all should be safe. Let's not get anything wrong that I'm saying here. Muslims should be safe. That bunch there, and the guy that's saying, I'll put you 6 feet under, that's a Muslim. Okay? The people that are chanting in our streets, it appears to be hundreds of thousands of them, are basically saying, from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. And then they're hating on the Jews, calling for the annihilation. Some of them, they're outright calling for the annihilation of the Jews. Sometimes the Christians is not too far behind it, but we don't want any of that. We want peace on earth. We want peace on earth. And now the people calling for the annihilation, and I don't know if we keep that Hamas leader, his clip handy. I'd love to play it again, JT. I don't know if you can find it. Let's get that one back, please, and let's keep it. It's the Hamas guy, and you have to read it because he's speaking in his language, and they're not going to stop until they annihilate the Jews. Like, that's their ceasefire terms. Okay? That's what they want. A few years ago, I was just being informed that basically they released, for one Israeli soldier, they released 1,000 prisoners. 1,000 prisoners were released for one Israeli soldier to be released. And some of those Hamas Israeli prisoners were behind this October 7th attack. So I also want to mention something else. And so, it's interesting to me. Now, I have many guests on, and I appreciate Dr. Rima, but I want to tell you that in looking into it, so she said something today. She said, President Franklin D. Roosevelt knew about the attacks on Pearl Harbor a week before it took place. Well, so if I go to ChatGPT, which I find generally it's pretty smart, it knows a lot of stuff. So it kind of gives you an overview. So did President Roosevelt, did he know about Pearl Harbor a week before? Well, this is exactly what it says. Okay, I asked it. It says, there is historical debate and controversy surrounding whether President Franklin D. Roosevelt had advanced knowledge of the attacks on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. Some conspiracy theories suggest that he did, but there is no concrete evidence to support such claims. The official investigations and his historical consensus do not indicate that Roosevelt had foreknowledge of the attack. Now, I know that with the vast audience that's watching me right now, there's some of you that are going to say, oh, I know he did. That is the case. And I know what happened at 9/11. And there's about 4 different things that are theories out there about what truly happened with 9/11. So what I'd like to say to everybody is, let's be very aware of misinformation, propaganda on all sides. So somebody wants to get their fame and fortune from putting out a video that says such and such. Then we have the people that we're all on the same side, but they're putting out some narrative. I have been upset. I remember seeing a video that was out that I knew was, it was incorrectly presenting something someone said about the vaccines, actually. Now, I want all information about the vaccines to be properly shared, and I want us to really understand what's gone on with that. But here's the problem, okay, is that our side was putting out a video. I had my assistant go and find the complete video so that we could show exactly what was said, and it was not the edited version that was going out. And that was put out by our side. I don't like it. I don't like lies. I don't like propaganda on any side. And we have to be determined to search for and seek the truth. Seek it. Seek wisdom. Above all things, like, don't just believe the guy that's telling you what happened. Ask you know, I don't know, you can't trust Google, but I am liking this Chat GPT. Of course, it's going to have some information that's, you know, probably not true as well. But when, you know, a conglomerate of people say that such and such happened, you gotta, and at the end of it all, how do we know? I don't have CIA files. I don't have the FBI files. But when they start coming out, you bet your bottom dollar. If I see it with my eyes, if I can see proof and evidence, I'm going to be on that side. The fact that they won't release, you know, files on UFOs, that there's a lot of information they're not releasing on that. Well, I think it should be released to the people. What, you think we all can't handle that? Oh, maybe there's UFOs? Like, it's so dumb. We just, you know, we can't let the population know. I hate all that stuff. Like, I'm a big girl and you're a big guy, you know, and we're all big people and we can handle whatever the truth is about whatever the truth is or isn't. When we find out that the President of the United States was potentially killed by, and they are saying that the files show this, and that this should all be released on the CIA and FBI involvement in that. Well, shocking and horrible. But when people begin to show that there's something really insidiously wrong with our country, then yes, I think you show the truth and, you know, you move on from there. So, so here we are. Thank you, Chrystia Freeland. Let's show that beautiful face. Isn't she lovely? Just there smiling. All right. Okay. So have you all seen what's been going on in our country? The increasing violence you can actually capture on video at these mosques. Have you heard that they're calling for a jihad worldwide? So can we play this video, JT? RCMP arrest a minor in terror plot against the Jewish community.
The RCMP say they've stopped what could have been a catastrophic attack on the Jewish community. Little is known about the terror suspect. The person is a minor and therefore shielded by a publication ban. It's alleged they instructed someone to carry out an attack with an explosive device.
The tension, the fear among Jewish residents is very high.
The city's mayor is promising more protective measures.
We've been increasing patrols around synagogues and other Jewish institutions.
Community leaders fear the threat is rising.
Anti-Semitism has skyrocketed since October 7th, and I've been saying it over and over again. If things aren't going to get better, they're going to get worse, and here they got worse.
The Mounties report an uptick in youth radicalization, saying in a statement there's a concerning trend of violent extremism and terrorist use of the internet. Since June 2023, the RCMP has arrested 5 young persons on terrorism-related offenses.
If the whole Israeli-Hamas conflict hadn't happened, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
This terrorism expert says the war and how it's portrayed on social media is driving some teenagers into the arms of recruiters.
You meet other people who share your point of view, who confirm it, who urge you on to do even more, get involved more in the ideas, to solidify your views. Legitimate it. Wow, look, I'm not alone. All these other people feel this way too.
Ottawa's Muslim community is on edge, says this local imam.
Whenever there is a threat against anyone, including our Jewish neighbors, that is deeply concerning to all of us.
Sikander Hashmi says the brutal scenes out of the Israel-Gaza conflict have stirred up anger and frustration.
Clearly, these types of horrific tragedies and horrific instances of war and pain and grief can certainly be used to try to radicalize young people. It's flooding their social media streams. We're not in a good place right now.
JP, police are raising awareness now about these threats, but what kind of action is being taken?
Ian, there's been a spike in hate crimes across the country. Hundreds of incidents have been reported to police since the October 7th attack, including dozens in Ottawa. The federal government has chipped in some $5 million to bolster security at religious and cultural sites, but community leaders say they need a lot more than that to keep people safe.
Okay, well, the good thing is we know how to handle an emergency in Canada, right? We know how to handle emergencies. So if we could just go back to this picture of Chrystia Freeland and that lovely smile, I'm certain that she's taking care of this and that she's going to also be looking at the facts that there's terror plots people in Canada have talked about, you know, terror cells being here for a very long time. And I'm sure that she's going to be handling that. And what were you saying, JT, about when there was a thing in Syria? Are you able to just say that name and just put on your microphone? Because I can't hear it and I can't say that name very well.
Oh, when Bashar Assad killed hundreds of thousands of Muslims and of his own people, like the Muslim community in Canada was not protesting Syria at all.
Right. So there was all these killings going on, and there's been other times, you know, like major killings, and you didn't have any uprising about this. It's just when it's the Jews, and we've got Hamas swearing that this needs to be done. So I'd like to, could we go to that that video you have with the one that I got you to get with Weinstein? No, yeah. Thank you.
I'll start with you, Alan Dershowitz, about what we're seeing in Gaza now is, to many people, now the very terrorism which Israel set out to destroy. What do you say to people that think that?
It is terrorism. It's terrorism by Hamas, taking human shields, putting children in the way of Israel's legitimate military concerns. Hamas has a strategy. It's called the CNN strategy. I call it the dead baby strategy. Kill as many Jews as possible, provoke Israel into doing what every democracy would do, responding, then hide your tunnels and your fighters and your rockets behind civilians, knowing that Israel, no matter how hard they try to avoid civilian casualties, and why would Israel ever want to kill a civilian? It's absurd. It hurts them tremendously. But every time Israel kills a civilian, the world condemns them, and the United Nations condemns them. And then that process continues over and over and over again. The people who are being killed today are being killed as a result of Hamas actions. Hamas started it. Hamas uses human shields. If Hamas lay down its arms, if it surrendered, if it agreed to give up control, if it closed its tunnels, if it stopped its rockets, then no civilians would be killed. So it's a terrible tragedy. There's no good solution. There's no perfect solution. If Israel stops now, Hamas continues to do it over and over and over again. If Israel continues, it gets condemned and loses friends abroad and even risks using the United States. It's a terrible dilemma for Israel. All the responsibility, all the fault of Hamas for starting this. And let me just end with one quote. On the day after, literally the day after these horrible tragedies with murders and rapes and robberies, this is what Mr. Finkelstein said. It warms every fiber of my soul, every fiber of my soul. He called the people who murdered these innocent Jews, many of them peaceniks, he called them part of the heroic resistance. And he compared them to the Jews who were fighting against Nazis in the Warsaw Ghetto. It's that kind of animosity toward Israel before Israel fired a single shot, which makes it clear that no matter what Israel does, it's going to be condemned by people like Norman Finkelstein and by the United Nations General Assembly. I think it was Abiy Ibn who once said, if the General Assembly were asked to vote on an Algerian resolution that the earth is flat and that Israel flattened it, it would win 128 to 32 with 65 abstentions, and he would name each of the people. So the United Nations General Assembly, Human Rights Watch, Doctors Without Borders, these are not objective assessments. Israel is in a very tough situation, and the future of civilization depends on Israel being able to destroy Hamas and avoiding repetition.
So Israel is in a very tough situation, and I think that that's what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing this rise in anti-Semitism. And Chrystia Freeland, I'm sure she's meeting with the Jewish leaders as well, and we'll be seeing that picture shortly. Maybe check her feed. She might have it up because that was earlier today. So maybe an hour ago, yeah. So maybe this afternoon, you know, or of course it's pretty much nightfall there. It's actually nighttime in Toronto. So yeah, you know what? I bet Chrystia Freeland's doing the big meeting with the big picture with the Jews tomorrow. Watch for that. We'll be presenting that. So let's talk about other things that are sort of left. Let's look at the United States of America, what they're doing with respect to the lies regarding January 6th. That continues on. I'm thinking that it's really hard to come to conclusive perspectives on much until you have listened to a multitude of opinions and seen a multitude of videos. I want to show you this video, Clay Higgins talking about how police were undercover on January 6th. Take a look.
Of the FBI with their involvement of this whole thing. We have other evidence, specific observations of police officers, Capitol Police or Metro or both, entering rooms and here in the Capitol in uniform and coming out as Trump supporters and construction workers. So,
you've seen that?
Yeah. So
why has that video not been released yet?
One would say that's a pretty good clue.
Yeah.
The other reason that we believe is just practical to have someone that knows how to get around. I mean, you know yourself, you can't walk around this place and know where you're going. You have to be here for years and years.
The Capitol is a maze.
That's right. And it's incredibly difficult to get around. You have to know where you're going. So you had to have people that were very familiar with the Capitol itself in order to lead some random groups of citizens that have come from every corner of the country. In many cases, never been to D.C. before, much less walked around in the Capitol. So it just makes sense that the Trump supporters that were leading the way and were clearly already inside the Capitol before the doors were open were working in coordination with the FBI agents and assets that were embedded into the crowd. In some cases, in these groups had been embedded for months. This is ugly stuff we're discussing, but the American people deserve to know the truth, and I intend to see that it happens.
It's really ugly. I mean, you know, you kind of grow up hoping that you can trust people. Here's what I see is that we are seized. And we're in I started the show right off the bat today saying that I think that we're in worse shape than ever. I also want to say that I don't want to leave you with a lack of hope. I want you to know something, that as bad as the enemy tries to get us, when we are wise, when we are gaining knowledge, we are going to be able to stand strong when the time is right. Also, we have God on our side. So God, with one flick of his baby finger, can do all kinds of things to take powers out, all right? But we have to do our part, and we have to understand when they're trying to present this thing like they're going to actually run Biden again. Biden, who cannot find his way off a stage, okay? And we're to believe that this is the guy they're going to run against Trump because we have to run against Trump, okay? I don't think so. I think this is just such a sham. And are the Democrats that stupid? Is it only on Fox that we're seeing the gaffes? Is it only, is it only Hannity that is showing the nightmare of a president that we have? That the whole world, by the way, is watching. You see, nobody wants to be mean to an old man. We love our elders and we want to treat them with respect. But when they're in charge of our country and they're letting this atrocity happen at the southern border, which is going to affect Canada and is affecting Canada, by the way. Now, why would Biden want to let all of these people in the southern border and not fix it? Have you asked yourself that? I think it's because he knows that he's not going to be able to win without all these people that he's let in. We love Biden. They're all screaming and crying, oh, we love him. We can come to America. Of course they love him because he's letting them into our country. We have no borders. We have no sovereignty. And it's happening in Canada as well, all kinds of ways. Why do they want that? Because they want these people to be able to vote for them because they're starting to lose the majority of people. We're starting to see that, you know what? It's not really working, this whole mass immigration thing. And I just want to thank, I got a couple of articles where Lee Harding and the Western Standard is writing about some of the interesting guests that we have on. They quoted Maxime Bernier. This is a full out crisis. I like that word shout. I think we need to be shouting. We don't need to be violent, but let's be shouting. How can this all be happening? How can they be so stupid? They're going to shut down oil and gas. Oil and gas gives us, we can manage it. Oil and gas gives us a great life. It powers our cars so we can get around and we can drive for more than 4 hours till we need, to get it, recharged somewhere, which Lord only knows where that's going to be. If you want to drive across the country, it's going to be a sheer nightmare. But we have the ways and means with which we can live very, very well. We are living in the Truman Show, basically, right? Is that the name of that movie with Jim Carrey? We should watch that again. Like, how true will it be to see the big fake, the camera, the lights, everyone doing their roles, say this, say that. Everybody has to line it up, because people don't seem to care about others anymore. There's a lack of empathy. I don't know if they're all bought out. I don't know if they're blackmailed. Something's wrong in the psyche of humanity. There has been a divide that doesn't make sense anymore. When things don't make sense, you have to go, let me find the missing puzzle piece that makes this make sense. And maybe it simply is about pure evil. Maybe it simply is that there are people so very, very, very bad that they actually do want the destruction of humanity. Maybe that's it, like Klaus Schwab. The WEF megalomaniac Klaus Schwab talking about having enough predictive data. So why do we need elections anymore? Listen to his words. Listen.
The technology now is, and digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
Okay, so I predict Laura-Lynn's going to vote for the People's Party of Canada. We don't have to have an election. We've seen her. We already predicted what she's going to vote. We know what John Henry over there is going to vote for. He's going to vote for the Liberals because he likes handouts, and he's a very socialist kind of guy. And and we know what all of the the different factions and that have come to our country, who they're going to vote. We don't need to have an election. We'll just predict it. I mean, we can read your thoughts anyways with the chip that we've had implanted in your brain, through Elon Musk. I mean, we don't need elections. We just need to put it all out there. And, there's some people talking about how the Democrats are saying weird stuff. First of all, they're accusing Donald Trump of the kinds of things we've been accusing them of. And that is, getting camps together, FEMA camps, and, that Donald Trump is now going to become this dictator, which he never was a dictator. He let all the governors run their states the way they wanted to. He should have done different things. He should have been more of a dictator. He should have fired Anthony Fauci. We all know that. But I think that the time is coming when people will not be very safe. I think that he's going to come back with strength and people will not be safe. Let me just clarify what I just said. They will not be safe in their jobs. They will be fired. Just like how we've all not been safe in our jobs for 4 years while you have pounded down your stupidity on us, Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau. You've destroyed Canadian culture. You've destroyed the love of our nation, our sense of peace. A lot of people have PTSD. The suicide rate is sky high. Why? Because of you guys, because you destroyed our peace. You sent the nasty dudes in to deal with truckers that were peaceable and had tears in their eyes. Tough truckers fighting for their country. You sent the nasty dudes in for that, but now we got other nasty dudes on the streets saying, I'll put you 6 feet under, and the cops are just staring at them. Did you see? Like deer in headlights. Are we prepared to deal with this kind of hell? Are we? Is Canada prepared to deal with this kind of hell that's coming our way? Because people that are violent and support violent extremists are marching in our streets. Are we able to deal with it? I think there's a scary answer. And by the way, they're probably listening to me. The scary answer is we're not prepared to call in the rough dudes. You know, those guys that just had coldness in their eyes and they had the black suits on and they were prepared for. Call them in. Call them in on some of these people that are actually telling the police that they are going to kill them. That's what just happened. They told the police, I'll put you 6 feet under. Oh, I'd like to try that. The next time I'm at a little rally to defend gender appropriation as being male and female, the next time I'm at a rally and a police gives me a hard time because my bullhorn is too loud, I'll just tell, I'll put you 6 feet under, pal. Oh, I'll tell you what'll happen next. Little Laura-Lynn will be like upside down and flipped on the ground, and I'll be in jail for months, maybe years. Do you think we're prepared for what is being unleashed? I'm a little alarmed, and I'm concerned about Canadian kindness and Canadian niceness, and I'm concerned about what our politicians have done to us in the name of multiculturalism, in the name of we're a great country, we're a peace-loving country, everyone can come here and feel welcome. And by the way, here's a cell phone and $5,000 so that you'll be comfortable here. While our own, we don't have enough housing. We've allowed the market to, get so large that the young people can't afford to buy anything. Jews are not safe on our streets in Canada. And I'm sorry, what did we call an emergency about? Bouncy castles and truckers who sang the national anthem too much. You're all like out of your ever-loving minds up there at the top of our country. And you're having meetings and you want to be politically correct. And it's happening in front of our eyes. I'm not about to pretend that something bad is not happening. Evil is being emboldened by our kindness and our long suffering, so to speak. Ecclesiastes says there's a time for peace and a time for war. Our Prime Minister has decided that the time for war was against the peaceful people. Blazing idiocy, I have to say. Well, hopefully he's not here long. But of course, if we don't have elections anymore, because he is one of Klaus Schwab's favorites, if we don't have elections anymore, well, they'll just predict who you'll vote for. They'll just assume, of course you want Trudeau in again. Nah, I'm just scaring y'all. It's going to be Pierre. We know that. Is Pierre going to pull out of the WHO and the UN agenda? Is Pierre Poilievre tough enough to deal with what we've got? I ask you that. You can think anything you want. Y'all don't like, we got to get Trudeau out. Okay, we will. Everyone's voting Pierre. And after Pierre's in, we have a new faction going on. We have a new agenda happening in our streets. Is he tough enough to deal with it? Because I know someone who would be tough enough. Maxime Bernier. But don't worry, Pierre's getting in. And it should be better than Trudeau. But all of these things that are going on our streets right now, is that going to be happening when Pierre Poilievre is in? I think we have a new problem.